200 people in that room, and each one wants me to be somebody else. And they should just let me be.
Let you be what?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, sure.
I really appreciate it. I loved this film so much. I didn't really know much about Bob Dylan, and so I felt really invested in this whole story. For you, it does seem like Pete really takes Bob kind of under his wing at the beginning. Did you kind of feel that relationship with Timothy at all, and how did that lead through?
Timothy and I met a while ago. We might have had some of that. He was a lot younger when we met, and I knew he admired me as an actor. But by the time we were working on this, I really felt like kind of comrades in arms on it. We share a really deep admiration for Dylan and for that music, and I knew he felt as invested as I felt in, I don't want to say getting it right, but just Timothy was really articulate that the thing that gave him a conviction it was worth taking on was precisely because there are a lot of people who don't know it. It's like if you were only making this movie for Dylan aficionados, it'd be suicide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way, you'd be setting yourself up, you know. And I think it was almost stepping back and realizing that in truth there are many, many people of all generations who actually don't know this music, and they've heard the name Bob Dylan, but they don't necessarily they haven't spent time immersed in it, and they may not know much about what a fertile, amazing time that was of artistry that was woven in very tightly with the social change and political movements of the time, and I think where I felt with Timmy was a real alliance in that this was worthwhile. This is actually really worthwhile, and these people, not just because we happen to love their music, but that there's something worth reconnecting people to what a fertile and propulsive kind of time that was. So in short, I felt like I felt like comrades with Timothy on this, not in any way more of a veteran than him or anything. I think we were really, really bonded in the mission.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about that chaotic scene towards the end, you know, at the folk festival there, where Pete feels like he's stuck between like the past and the future of music. Can you talk about maybe where his head's at there, you think?
There are so many things at play. I don't want to take away from an audience their own interpretation of what went on or I think, you know, it's funny, Timothy and I talked about this too, but if you look at the old films of Bob Dylan and people are saying to him, what does this song mean? And he's 21 years old and he goes, I don't know what it means. What do you think it means? I wrote it, but that doesn't mean anything. And you kind of just go, man, he was so savvy at making sure that people formed an active relationship with the stuff he wrote. You know, like he never reduced it to only one thing. And I feel that way a little bit about the film itself. There's a lot of ways to feel emotionally about the end of this. I think the most I would say is that I think that it's very possible that there are different forms of integrity, you know, and I think that Bob Dylan and Pete Seeger admired each other enormously, and one may have had an inclination toward political integrity, you know, a kind of the integrity of commitment to a movement, and one may have had a kind of a radical sense of integrity to his own artistic line, and they don't have to cancel each other out, you know. They can coexist. Maybe they were in the same lane for a while, then they weren't. But you know, I really like that Jim Mangold's got the wisdom as a filmmaker in some sense to lay that out there and not necessarily make a judgment on it. You know, he really does leave it to you. He leaves you in this movie. I think he gives you the chance to sort of sit with the conflicting emotions at the end of it, and I think that's a very adult. that gives a lot of. I think you got to give credit to audience. You know, you got to as an audience, like. Sometimes I want to be left alone. You know what I mean? I really do. Like, I don't want to be bludgeoned. I don't I don't want to be told too much. I want to exist in the messiness of it all, and I want to let it all percolate in me. And I think sometimes it takes a very mature filmmaker, I think, to leave a lot in your lap unresolved.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
That went so
absolutely.
fast. I loved this
Okay.
movie so much. It's
Okay.
one of my favorites of the year.
Well,
easily.
the fact that you're saying you weren't like that you weren't deep in Dylan before, that's a real, that excites me. I'm glad you
Yeah,
made you
I
feel
started
that way.
listening to him after watching.
Okay,
I
good.
watched it twice now, and I'm like, I'm so into Dylan now. What is happening? So
I hear Bob is playing electric.
Not on our stage, he isn't.